What's it like hitting a game winner in an NBA game? How is the game affected by the new rules emphasis this year? What are the Nets' goals for this season? The only question left is, say it with me, you in? Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown. I am pleased to have back on the show, friend of the breakdown, Spencer Dinwiddie, the point guard for the Brooklyn Nets, or I should call you a combo guard now. Is that more accurate?
Yeah, doing a little bit of everything.
All right, well, that's true. You certainly can do a little bit of everything, and you were doing a lot of everything the other night against the Pistons. So let's go talk about some of these plays you made down the stretch, because I wanted to hear from your point of view how the plays unfolded, especially down in the fourth quarter. So let me take you back to 2 minutes to go. You're down by 4, and you're going to run a little pick and roll with Jared Allen out top. So how did this play unfold and get you an open three?
Yeah, so, Jared obviously was coming up to set a quick pick and roll. I decided to attack the big. Dre was a little bit shifted over, so I felt like the pocket pass was open. Threw it to J.A. And then when J.A. didn't immediately go up, obviously I realized I had to relocate and get to the corner and get my outlet. And, he spun around, had a great find, and, I was able to make the shot.
How important is it when you drive to the basket and dish to then get back out and relocate behind the line, particularly in the corners? How important is that to getting open threes?
Oh, extremely important. I think obviously this is part of the whole Steph Curry Warriors effect. Everybody hunting threes and kind of transformation of the game. But, off of offensive rebounds and also, kind of just when everything gets in the paint, there's kind of like any sort of muck and you can kind of get lost, especially in the corners. That's where they look to find guys now.
Mm-hmm. Now, how hard is that shot? Because you're now backing up. You got to get your feet behind the line. You take another extra dribble in there to find. Was it dribble there so you can get your feet behind, or was it to get more rhythm?
It was more just to get my feet behind because I was backpedaling, but I was more focused on the play actually. So I didn't look down specifically to know exactly where I was. So, when I took the peek down, I realized I wasn't behind the line. I didn't want to risk obviously traveling or anything of that nature. So you just take the dribble, get your rhythm. I had time, so just get your feet set and try to knock it down.
Well, let's talk about the close out there, because the guy did get there and it was sort of close. So I'm kind of curious from an NBA shooter standpoint, what about a guy running at you has an effect or doesn't have an effect when you're getting your shot off?
Man, I mean, the way that we're like going through it now and the way people are coaching it, and I kind of work on it with, my position coach, Adam Harrington, every day. If you can get to your shot kind of release point without really any distractions, you kind of just let it fly at this point. Just kind of with the way the league's going, how much everybody's encouraging threes, you kind of really would have to be there on the catch for guys to not shoot it nowadays. Now guys are kind of letting it fly with confidence, and you're going to see like not only the attempts rise, but also the percentages rise, just because there's not going to be as much of a stigma on it, and people are just going to start kind of let them fly.
Right. So it doesn't matter if the hand is up and like obscuring your vision on the rim, right? That doesn't bother you as much as maybe being there on the catch and taking away the shot altogether?
Yeah. If you're there on the catch, taking the shot away altogether, then obviously you'd force me to either step back or into driving it or whatever. But once I'm already up and getting ready to, release the ball at that point, I mean, I'm sure it has some level of effect versus an open shot, obviously. I mean, mildly contested versus heavily contested, all that stuff. But, I'm at that point, I'm already getting ready to let it go. So it just kind of is what it is.
Right. So it's almost like you don't even need to see the rim once you know where you are and you have the catch. And it's on the catch itself, if you see the rim, after that, it almost doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's definitely more important to obviously know where you are to begin with. But at the point of release, I mean, in that millisecond, if my eyes are temporarily obscured, I mean, I don't think it's going to do too much.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's what it seems like. And I talked to a lot of shooters who all feel the same way. They've done it so many times, right, that you just sort of know what that release needs to be without having to actually see the rim as much. But let's get down to the next shot I want to talk about, because this was even more crucial with 21 seconds to go, an out-of-bounds play. And Coach Atkinson drew up a nice little elevator, was what I call it. But I'm not so sure it was the most perfectly executed. Perhaps mucking it up was what you mentioned earlier. Maybe that helped you a little bit, but walk us through what happened on this play and how you got open.
Well, so that's actually one of our proprietary trade secrets.
Uh-oh.
And if I tell you, I got to kill you. But
okay.
it is something like a elevator action for sure. And all the guys on the court, Joe Harris, Karras specifically, obviously, and myself ran it pretty well. And we were able to kind of get Reggie off me a little bit, and I got the daylight. And then that's another one. He got a fairly good contest late, but it was all about letting it fly at that point. There's no use in worrying about the defense. We got to hit the bucket. We got to tie the game, and then rely on our defense.
Was the fact that the pass came from your left, did that make that shot any easier for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think obviously, there's the old adage that, you're already squared to the basket. When accepting the pass from the left, I hadn't actually thought about that one specifically on that shot. But yeah, I mean, I guess it definitely could have helped a little bit for sure. And then obviously the fact that it was a good pass in general by AC helps out a ton. If he had thrown it, high or low or, at my feet or something, then that would have definitely had a drastic effect on the shot.
For sure. Now, is it safe to say that you've practiced a shot like that over and over again, coming out from the basket area out, and then it's a pretty deep three. It's probably a couple feet behind the line. Is that a shot you practice a lot?
So doing that type of motion is something that I practice in terms of relocating. I never relocate that far actually, but I also do practice like spot up threes from that distance in general. So, there's a wide range of practicing that are in that type of element.
For sure. So what kind of energy jolt do you get? I'm kind of curious. Put us in the huddle for a second because, you tied the game. You executed the play that they drew up just like they wanted to pretty much. What is that like in the huddle after that?
I'm actually one of the more chill guys just because it didn't go in and like we win the game with 0-0, on the clock. In that case, I'm generally more animated. So like the buzzer beaters that you may have seen where it's like literally zeros or maybe it's .02 on the clock or something like that. That's when you see me get up and have the, are you not entertained reaction or something like that. Whereas like there's always something else to go. We still need a defensive stop. We still need to, come down and execute whatever it is. So I'm like, look, hey, it ain't done. Like that was a nice shot and everything. It helped us get to this next step, but this ain't over yet.
Right. Now, so did Coach Atkinson, was he all business then when he was getting you guys prepared for the last shot?
He was a little more animated, but that's also his personality though.
Yeah. Well, listen, as a coach, when that happens and that works like that, even if you're not winning the game, you're tying it, and you lived another possession. That's always really exciting. So That was great. Now, you were a little bit quiet for the overtime as we got into that, but not when they needed you, you came through. And I'm wondering if we can talk a little bit about that last three that you made because ends up being the game winner. So walk us through how this played and how it unfolded.
So I'm bringing it down the right side. I have Stanley on me. Jared sets a quick kind of brush screen. We get the switch, and I'm at about the break or so. And, Drummond's hands are down. He's got a couple steps back. Obviously, we're down 2. So I'm assuming, obviously, in my head, he's preparing for me to drive. Something that I did very effectively against him in the first game that we played. So knowing that he's going to be cautious of that, and knowing that I was fairly close to the corner and the corner 3 and that I shot the ball well that night, I decided to go for the win, honestly.
Why not go for the win? And if you want to go for the win for your sports coverage, then there's no better place to get analysis on all your favorite sports teams than The Athletic. They've literally hired just about every single big name in the NBA space. And guess what? I just launched a weekly video series with them called Inside Coach Nick's Brain, where I'll take deep dives into the stats and how they're affecting play on the court. All their quality content is subscription-based, but if you click on theathletic.com/Coach Nick, you'll save 40%. This is an absurd deal, and their app is great, no ads or pop-ups, and it's the best quality writing that goes beyond just recaps of the games. So, if you want more of my video content alongside the best writers in the business, head over to theathletic.com/Coach Nick, all lowercase, and I'll make sure you get your 40% off the subscription price and all of that great analysis. So is that like a conscious decision? Obviously the move itself is a two-part move in a way, like a hardened step back. So did you
Yeah.
is that really what you're thinking in that moment? Like, can you remember what that was like at that second? I'm going to go for the win here, or does this just sort of unfold so quickly what that wasn't part of the thought process?
No, so it's like a little bit of both, honestly. So it's not like a full on thought process of like all those pieces, right? But when I'm coming down, Jared sets a quick pick and roll, which was obviously advantageous because I'd want to go against Dre instead of Stanley, just in terms of as a defender. And then it's like, okay, he's backed up, his hands are down, and then I know roughly where I'm at on the floor, obviously, and I'm like, all right, here it goes. Like in that split second, time and score, all those things already when you're bringing the ball up the court. So you're not having that moment while you're bringing it up because you're cognizant of all those things. Jared does, what he's supposed to do in terms of causing the switch, and then okay, time's running down. You still want to get the shot up fairly quick just to make sure there's an offensive rebounding possibility. So in that moment, it's either drive or shoot. If I were to just wait and pound the rock, obviously then my chances and my different options go down. So it was going to be a decision fairly quickly. Either I was going to drive it or shoot it pretty much in that moment, and I chose to go for the win in that moment.
And so the type of shot you took, everyone's sort of adding that to their arsenal of 3-point shots.
Yeah.
How hard are you working on that shot to make that as effective part of your game?
Oh, I'm definitely working on it a lot. I mean, obviously, you call it the hardened step back. Great offensive players are looking to bend the rules as much as they possibly can to gain an advantage. And obviously, when guys do something effectively, other guys are going to look to add it to their game. Whoever that is. That's part of the reason why KD had the sweep through all those years ago, and then they changed the rule so it was no longer 2 free throws automatically. It's a great move. It's something, like you said, Harden's done very effectively. And just the break in the rhythm causes guys to either foul you or get kind of an awkward contest. Because if they jump too early while you're still sidestepping, when you start to go up into your shot, you can alter, obviously, your trajectory of your jump into them, get a foul. And if they start jumping after your step back, you're already into your release. So it's something that makes the defender have to literally time it perfectly. And obviously, that's just something that's very, very hard to do with elite offensive players.
For sure. And timing it perfectly, it oftentimes doesn't even matter because if the shot goes up and you'll see you hit it, Harden hits it, he's right there and it still goes in. It's demoralizing for the defense, I have to imagine. But you mentioned fouling, and I wanted to bring that up really quickly because I thought it's interesting to hear your take on the new freedom of movement emphasis that the referees are putting on the players. How has that affected you playing defense this year?
I've definitely got a lot more fouls this year in terms of like wrapping the screener when I'm trying to like fight over a screen, which is something that definitely wasn't called in the past. They alerted us to it, so obviously that's my fault and something I have to get better at. I mean, it's kind of like football in that sense. Like we're a passing league, we're a freedom movement, 3-point shooting, pace, space, all that league, and so the rules are going to reflect that. It's something that we have to adjust to. I think also, there'll be regression to the mean as well in terms of foul calls, just like there always are. But in terms of like the rules in general, like it makes it very hard on defense. But I understand where it's coming from, so I'm not like pissed off about it.
Right. Well, I mean, listen, you're not alone. Everybody's having trouble with it or having difficulty staying out of that penalty right now.
Exactly.
How much of an effect do you think that specifically has on these crazy scores that we're seeing the first 2 weeks of the season?
Oh, well, it's definitely going to have a large effect because if somebody's in the bonus very early, we were actually remarking on it on the bench yesterday. I was talking to my teammate Ed Davis, and I think it was about the 9-minute mark of maybe the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken, and we were already had 4 fouls, which means as soon as we come in, if we touch a guy, free throws, and so that does 2 things. Obviously, it gives them free points, but it also makes you have to kind of be hands off on defense, which, like I said, puts you in a bind. These are the best players in the world, the best 450, in the world, especially offensively, and so if you can't touch guys, or if when you do touch them because you're already in the bonus, there's free throws, then the score is going to be higher, and it's going to be just harder on the defense in general.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing that people don't necessarily understand either. It's the fouls are one thing, but it's also the desire to not want to foul, which causes you to be less aggressive, right? And that just makes it easier for these guys to score. What about the 14-second reset? Has that had any effect on the game, you think?
Yeah, I think it does, just in terms of like you don't see teams getting it out and running like sets now. But at the same time, I mean, most of what the NBA is today is quick actions anyway. DHOs, pick and rolls, quick pick and rolls, get actions, things like that. So you're still kind of getting into the meat of what an NBA offense is. It's just not somebody like kicking it out and then holding it and making an explicit call. You're just kind of running right into it. So a little bit of a change in terms of that, but I don't think it's like too much of a departure from what we're trying to do, because a lot of these offensive rebounds, we're looking to kick out for threes anyway. And that takes all of 3 seconds to do. So
that's what I noticed. It feels like if I went back, and I wonder if there's any data from last year, for instance, of the time of possession after an offensive rebound, because unless you're ahead and it's inside of a minute to go, that's the time when you see someone pull it out and like really try and milk the clock, which is good that they're not going to be able to do that, I guess. It keeps the game interesting. But it feels like how often, right, does that ever really happen? Because the offensive rebounds in those situations, are, as far as I can feel, are pretty rare.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
So I feel like there's people want to point to that, and I feel like I don't know if it's really causing too many differences right now in the game. Certainly not as much as the fouls. But anything else about the game right now this year that you feel is like a little bit different than last year that struck you as interesting?
Nah, I mean you pretty much touched on all of it. I mean, obviously the super high scores.
Do you like the super high scores?
Something for sure. I mean, yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm having fun in it. It's the balance, because when I get in foul trouble, I'm mad, but when I'm scoring, I'm happy. So, it's just kind of part of the way it goes.
So do you feel like you're scoring better or easier this year than last year?
I think it's kind of too early to tell. That 8 games is only a tenth of the season. It's not an accurate sample size, I think. Especially when you're talking about 82, and most guys are going to play 60 games or so. So there's a long way to go.
Oh, fair enough. But, you've had a great start so far, and it's certainly easy to maintain a really good start versus having a bad start and having to pull yourself up from there. So, but clearly, I mean, career highs right now across the board here. So, at least not an assist. So that's interesting, though. Your assists are way down, and I have to imagine, does that have to do with the fact that D'Angelo Russell is back and playing more of a lead guard?
Oh, I mean, I think it's just, kind of the way things have unfolded so far. Can't point to any one guy. It's just, the way our team functions this year. And I'm sure there'll be nights where I have, high assist numbers, and, nights that I have low assist numbers. It's going to kind of be doing whatever it takes to help the team in that moment.
Well, what is your goal then for this year? What are the Nets' goals in terms of win-losses, and where do you think you want to be as we get later on in the season?
I mean, I don't think that we have any, explicit win-loss goals. It's not like we're saying we want to be a 50-win team or something like that. I think obviously we're trying to get better every day, as cliche as that sounds. And I know in our locker room we really want to make the playoffs. So I think that's just where our head's at in general, and we're fighting for that every day.
Awesome. Well, Spencer, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and sharing us these insights. I'm telling you, rarely do we get a glimpse into the NBA player's mind the way you do it. So I wish you as much luck. Actually, I don't know if you want luck. Do you want luck in your season, or you want skill? What is it?
I mean, hey, I'll take some of all of it.
All right, that's right. Well, luck is whatever what's that old adage? When you're prepared, you have luck or whatever. But nonetheless, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I hope to talk to you soon later on this season and see where we're at there with more game winners and more awesome moves. So we'll check up on you later. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You win? Are you in, Spencer?
I'm in.